that I'm the only one in shot.
It's just Dylan and Pikachu.
Yep. Get this fucking Pikachu.
I'll take him.
Don't you cover your mouth with that Pikachu.
Yeah, don't you cover that. Quit eating the Pikachu, Price.
That's my thing. He's my buddy. He's my friend.
Alright.
He's the best Pokemon.
Price, you got a timer off on the side.
Oh, yeah. I got you.
Who's gonna start?
I'll start because I'll be talking Elden Ring for like exclusively.
Okay.
So I figure let's knock out like the thing that we last talked about, and although I haven't
I've 100%.
Right, you've 100%ed it, and I still haven't beaten it, but I've been again just dragging my feet on beating it because I'm just collecting all the stuff before I go to the new game. Anyway, we're recording now, so I'll just wait for Dylan to cue us in. Dylan, whenever you're ready, I got you, buddy. Also, there's a little. Hold on. What is that? Okay, the screen. Oh, okay. It was like black, and then it like lit up like a little tiny battery icon for a second. And I'm like, that's not where the battery icon is on this game.
Yeah.
And I thought it was the icon. Okay.
Did our last podcast didn't like it activate and was gonna buy you dog food or something?
Yeah, it was something weird like that.
My Android phone does the same thing too. Randomly, I'll be sitting there like listening to something, and it's just like listening, and I'm like, none of the prompts. What did you hear? Like, anyway. Welcome to a little bit, I'd say a little bit more tame on the Effin' Game podcast, to the Effin' Game podcast, now with slightly less hesitations to say game. Notice what's gonna start happening is I'm gonna say the Effin' Game podcast during the movie one.
Yeah.
And our fans are gonna be furious. I'm your host today, Dylan. Also hosts, we got Nathan and Price. Now you might notice that Mason's not here. We will not be having our dirt review or Rory make
our
it
hot shots golf.
Yes. So if you want more Mason in the show, make sure to let us know in the comments or with likes or whatever.
He's actually playing a game now, Until Dawn.
Oh, that's a good one for him to talk about too.
Yeah, it would be.
Well, Mason's fucking dead to us.
Yeah, he's not here.
Podcast.
He's at work.
We cut the fat off that shit sandwich, so that's the crust. But anyway, nobody's going to correct me on this one.
Nope.
So, we're here to talk about video games, and I'm just going to go ahead and monopolize my time and just start leaping right on in. Elden Ring. Is it the best game ever? That's what I'm here to tell you. And maybe. Honestly.
I mean, it's pretty good.
It is... Listen, no game's perfect. Let me start off by saying that. No game is perfect.
There's definitely flaws with the game. You know, the from a usability perspective, it still has a lot of clunky UI. They
did the merchant update.
I heard that has helped things. I completed the game fully before that happened.
For the record,
one of my complaints was going to be that I don't like how they have kept the whole world of NPCs obscure as hell, to where it's oh, this NPC has moved.
Icon.
Where has it moved?
Yeah.
I don't know. You're gonna have to figure it out.
And sometimes
you're in an open world now, so
it does
it's
not
even
even
bigger.
make sense where they moved to.
Yeah.
It's just like they just moved here because this is organically on the way we wanted them to go. We're like, I don't know where they're going, but yeah, that part I agree. If there was like an NPC icon thing or whatever, like identifier.
Well, so there is now.
Well, the merchant one, but the NPC.
Oh, I thought the NPCs.
Some NPC storylines got like either added or fixed.
Yeah,
Kenneth Height.
And what's her name?
There's like 3 other ones. Fia,
that was one where it's like everybody was very certain that something was not right. Like there was some cut content or something like that, because the daughter of the
lord,
the lord of the castle
just dies.
Well, she sits down there all depressed,
Yeah.
and you can give her the ashes of a bird at some point, and she does nothing with it. You get nothing for doing that.
Right.
That's just the end.
And we're like, well, that's unsatisfying.
Yeah,
I would never
like
give
that felt like there was clearly something that wasn't done yet, or maybe something that just hadn't been discovered yet.
Yeah.
But turns out it's just content that was not yet
completed,
actually,
or at least
enabled in the game.
Right. Yeah.
So that's been added.
And they didn't give a reason for it. And for like other game developers, I'd be like, "Oh, you just released an unreleased. You put out your unfinished game. Fucking assholes." But from software, I'm like, this is probably a glitch. Like,
yeah.
And to be fair, for this, honestly, for a game of this scale of magnitude, to come out from that studio, which has never done something as as open world, inclusive as this.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if even like Bethesda made a game like this and they
No, this
they
thing would have been a
specialize in
glitchy
open world?
This thing would have been
It's
a fucking
absurd.
mess.
It's
Like,
absurd.
The that's definitely a huge plus to.
Oh, yeah.
It is
what
a
they've
technical
done.
achievement for them
Yeah,
to have
Like
put this out.
they have shown that you can in fact make a game that is huge and it not be hot garbage on release.
Yeah, like refer to Cyberpunk. That's all I need to say.
Everybody else fails at it,
Yeah.
and FromSoft has once again knocked it out of the park.
Right, absolutely crushed it. So some of these other storylines I'm intrigued to follow through, but I think some of them I have to do on New Game Plus because it's been fizzled at one point or another.
So I've 100% of the game. Like I
I was meaning to ask. So with that, is that like what's the requirements for 100%? Like, is it collect all items, collect all this, or is it?
So it's collect all like legendary weapons,
Legendary
all
weapons,
legendary
okay.
spells and ashes. Like those, it's not the collect literally everything.
Right.
But I ended up having to. So I guess it's kind of save scummy to do this, but I zipped up my save file
Mm-hmm.
so that I could like kind of go back and get multiple endings in one playthrough and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to do the endings that had achievements tied to them. Not every ending does have achievements tied to it, only 3 of them do.
That wouldn't surprise me.
And you can get all 3 of those in the same playthrough as long as you don't mess up.
Which ones have achievements tied to them? I want to get. Okay, hold on. Let me do a guess.
Okay.
3 Fingers, the Hyeta one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and I'm gonna describe these as loosely as because again, I haven't done any endings, so I would say there's probably just like a default ending, which
Yep.
probably just gives an achievement as it usually is.
Yep.
I would say the Hyeta 3 Finger one feels like a conclusive ending, and I'm gonna spitball and say that Ronnie has like a final like.
Yeah.
that's
So
like
those are the 3 that have achievements
All right, they
tied
feel
to them.
they feel like the most
Can you
important.
imagine if somebody had somehow already 100%ed this game? Can you imagine what that would be like?
I wouldn't know. Honestly, like I maybe just about there if I hadn't like gone to Alaska for 5 days and then like had distractions myself with it.
Well, I was leading the witness with that statement.
No, I know what you were doing, but I'm also kind of like just jealous that I'm like, damn it, how dare you have
Well,
that.
and even after I 100% of the game,
There you
it's
go.
still fun enough that I kept going.
God,
And,
I can't wait to
kinda
New Game
digging
Plus.
into-
Like,
That's really cool.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, man. So
I like
I will
that.
say the one thing that I wish they had done more with, and that I hope they patch in at some point,
Mhm.
is making New Game Plus meaningful in some capacity. Because as it stands, New Game Plus is only slight buffs to health and stuff like that, and there are no new items. There's no real reason to do it.
Right, other than just to like run through again with. What do you start with in the New Game Plus in this one? Because I know what it's traditionally.
Like all your weapons and
Okay. Yeah,
all
everything
your
in, like, the prior
stats, like
inventory.
basically everything that's in your inventory minus like some key items that
Sure.
you'll have to reacquire.
Flask
Also,
upgrades?
flask upgrades stay. They're not bonfires. I forget what they're called.
Oh yeah, the site of prayers or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those all wipe from the map.
Those are all white, but
makes sense.
the map is still there, and every location that you had already discovered is still there too.
Oh, okay. So your map stays up to date minus the sites.
Right.
Right.
Which that is all.
That's still
like,
incredibly
quality
useful,
of life,
honestly.
nice things for sure.
Yeah.
But in my second run through that game, I had to run through it a second time because I actually killed Fia when I wasn't supposed to. And like instead of, because she had this whole thing where she was like, "You'll just have to kill me," and I was like, "All right."
Yeah, that sounds like so.
Instead of hugging her, I was just like, "Yeah, okay.
Nah.
I mean, I'll kill you."
I always hug her.
So I had,
I got all the way through hers.
Man, I had to replay through so much content to get back to her.
That's a lot.
But in that New Game Plus that I was doing that, I killed Radon in a couple of hits. I killed basically every boss in just a couple of hits.
Did you run the same build?
Which means, well, yeah.
Hmm.
So that means New Game Plus is woefully underpowered.
Right.
Like it cannot stand up to a character going into New Game Plus. It's basically just like your victory lap through the game. It doesn't feel like it's harder or anywhere near hard enough.
Yeah, and I wonder if that's something that's gonna be tweaked or balanced down the road, or like,
Well, yeah,
or
and
if they're just gonna
that's
keep
where
it
I
as
say
that.
like I
Right.
hope that they change it.
Right.
Because New Game Plus
Traditionally,
means
yeah.
a lot in a Dark Souls game.
Yeah.
Most of the time, like new enemy placements, new items.
Harder, like
it's a new experience. At
Yeah.
least the first time you do it. So that's the one disappointment is the replay value is definitely not as good, and that's actually why whenever I did that New Game Plus run to get that last achievement I was missing.
Mhm.
I then deleted the save file after that, and I was like, I'm just going to keep my save where I am at the end of the game, because I suspect at some point with either DLC or something, New Game Plus is going to be reworked.
Yeah, and I wonder if and that could be a perspective thing too, because again, this game has been arguably the most accessible Dark Souls, like FromSoft game. So I wonder if it like, for us hardcores, that's one of the things where we're like, yeah, well, we kind of expect these shifts in New Game Plus, but maybe because it's accessible and they're getting a new audience, that they're like, you know what, you guys aren't a victory lap where you can feel like a god and start stomping shit. But traditionally, they've always favored us as an audience because they're like, no, we know how to bread our butter. We want to torture these fucking kids. Like,
I mean, yeah, if
bread
you
our
talk,
butter.
yeah, butter our
If you
bread.
talk about if you talk about difficulty with this game, it is easy, like really easy.
I
compared
still
to the
don't
other
go as
Dark
far as to
Souls
say that
games.
it's easy. I will say it's been much more accomplishable because it's given you so much more resources.
Yeah.
Traditionally speaking, spells feel stronger in some ways, and somewhat the recent update where they tweaked some spells was fucking needed.
There
there was a lot of spells that were
at all.
bad.
Like I went into strength and never.
No, I know you went Alpha Chad strength mode and start ooga boogieing the place. So I went with the Dex spell build, and I can tell you that for much longer than what should have been the case, easily the first half of the game, maybe longer than that, the Spirit Pebble was still the most efficient and best spell to have.
Wow. That's really weird.
I know.
Figured
So,
that.
and of course, you always see the highlight clips of the
people
big
with
comet
the big
azures and
beam
the
attack.
hyper beams and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But for every one success story of that, there are 99 failures, and that's what they of course they're like, well, everybody's in the Reddit threads or whatever.
I love all the memes about the people just like, I die in one hit.
Yeah.
Has no points in vitality.
Exactly.
Has 99 points in intelligence.
That's more or less what my build was, except I think it's more like 77 and then 46 in Dex, and I only was switched back into Dex is because I just beat Melania and got her sword. So I wanted to have that Hannah Melania ability.
So did Melania go relatively easy with magic?
Fuck no.
Yeah, I kind of figured
It was not
magic.
even close.
It sucks to be in melee with her, but also I think if you're a soft caster, you are just going to get one hit with any attack she does.
Yeah, so I was telling Price this the other day, that she has her weapon Ash of War move, the one where she goes up and then starts slashing.
Mm-hmm.
I see that, I'm done.
Yeah.
Does not matter. It does not matter. I guard, she will guard break me and kill me.
Well, the funny thing about that too is that will kill, I think, anybody.
But I was gonna ask if your build, because you had a bunch of
my
vigor.
build, and I was wearing the heaviest armor.
Yeah.
I was as stocky as possible.
As poisey and as
I
guard
had
armor.
50 in vitality. I mean,
Yeah.
I have a lot of defensive stats. I even had the legendary Drake Shield talisman, which is super good for physical defense.
I still need to get some of the grass crest shields and stuff like that. The one that's stamina buff on it. I need to find those. But anyway.
But yeah, so
yeah, do you
all
still
of
eat it
that-
whenever you get hit on that?
if she hit me with that attack, I died.
Yeah.
It didn't matter. None of that matters.
No, yeah, it is. Your best hope is that she takes your mimic. But even then, for my build, I needed my mimic to stay alive for phase 2 because I needed something to get distracted. Because I could, at the very beginning when she does the land and then the blossom attack, I could land one Azure Beam that would probably eat up 40% of her health. And then from there, I'm playing.
So whenever she did that, I just had to sit there and wait. Because if I got anywhere near
the Scarlet
I
Rot
was
just
melee
ripped you.
only, so
Yeah.
I had to just back off and be like, alright, that's pretty.
No, I told
Come on,
Price I
let's
spent
fight.
probably about 9 hours in that boss.
Whew.
It was 2 full day sittings of me running against the wall, and then I'm like, let me respect, because I want to try an arcane build with this one blood sword that's supposed to stun lock her pretty good. Did that, that didn't help. And I was just like, okay, Arcane sucks. And then literally this buff, like,
well, didn't
they just did the update
Yeah, I
to,
was
like,
gonna
buff
say,
the stats because
Arcane
it
was
wasn't doing what
busted.
it was supposed to be doing. Yeah,
Yeah.
now it's, like, apparently insane. But, I was like, of course.
Yeah.
So then I spec back because I was like, that felt dirty anyway. So I gotta do it with this build. And then it was just train, that attack run. Like, I lose this run. And then going back in. I tried summoning people in for this one. That was making it way worse. And, like, the mimics are almost 9 out of 10 times way better than the humans, even after nerf, because I'm just like, I don't need you to kill. I need you to distract so I can kill.
Yeah.
And sometimes we gank her in the corner. But yeah, that has been the hardest boss for me series-wise. Like, it is not even close.
It only took me like 6 tries.
Good for you, Nathan. I am a squishy little Harry Potter
Well,
and
yeah, I was
fighting
gonna say,
sword
like,
god.
I feel like, I do tend to kind of just, out of interest, keep tabs on how everybody's doing with games and stuff, and especially with Elden Ring, like, I was just looking, it's like, what does everybody else kill?
What's
Like,
everybody
what's
on
everybody's
now?
playtime looking like? I beat that game and 100% of it in so much less time than everybody else, and I would bet money everybody else that is still playing it and has not made as much progress is playing casters. Like, I think
I would put money on
is just far and away
But-
the most powerful in this game.
I will say this, Casters has been incredibly fun now. Because it has been, I have 10 different ways to figure out the puzzle. Now I have to figure out how to figure out the puzzle.
When I play, I want to play that. I want to play Nathan's build.
Strength
I
build?
want strength, vitality. I want to hit him in the head. That's
I think
my
the
strategy.
funny thing is that you will want to do that, and then you will hate it, because some things I could cheese. I guarantee you that there were some bosses that you were like, you might have got hung up on, that I was just like, nah, I'm just as like, I was waving dust at him, and then that was like that. But you know what, Press, play however you want to play.
I even beat Radon in a couple of goes.
Radon wasn't too bad for me.
Like, everybody says that, like, the meme about Radon is you can't fight him melee. I beat him melee.
I was about to
just
say.
a couple of tries, and so many people, like, some guy said that he spent 6 hours at least trying to fight Radon just over and over again.
I could
At
believe
that point, I'm like, you are beating your head against the wall.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be doing whatever it is you're doing. Like, you're doing it wrong if it's taking you that long to beat a single boss.
Yeah, I get more time because it's Elden Ring. It's the best.
No, you don't.
So, long story short, is this the best game ever? Yes, the end.
Okay, well, Nathan, you go next because usually you're last. So
Yeah.
you go for it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so yeah, I mean, it's hard to call it the best game ever.
Yeah,
'cause
there's
it's kinda
always the
hard
test
to
of
really
tames
call
and
anything the best
But it's
ever.
this.
But yeah, I mean, it's got super high marks, and I absolutely enjoyed it. Whenever I finally finished, I wished that I could have, like, I wanted more reason to keep playing it. But the, like, true motivation to play things does kind of teeter off once it's like, okay, well, I've done everything. I even went back and found every location on the map just because I wanted to keep having a reason to play the game.
That's my big thing, because they said before for New Game Plus on this one, you can, like, you get to choose whenever you activate it. It's not just as the end credit game.
Yeah.
But yeah, to your point though, I feel like my big thing is, like, I can't wait to run through it with a new build. Like, I've done it with the Dex Intelligence build. I'm like, I love this build, but I cannot wait to be like an Oonga Booga Strength guy. I can't. Honestly, I really want to do like a Faith Arcane with, like, and just see, like, what that, like, as a caster build looks like.
Yeah.
Make Jesus, make him look like Jesus.
That could maybe be a motivation. It'd have to be a while before I went that route. What I ended up doing after I completed the game is I just refined my build to be the best it could possibly be. Like, I got the best possible armor I could get.
What level did you end up rounding up in? By the time it was like, you felt like it was
I think
optimal.
I was like 170 or something.
Yeah. I feel like that's a higher level for optimal this time around. Usually I feel like you could get a pretty optimal build around like 120, 130 traditionally.
I don't know. Like, that wasn't me, like, trying to just kind of hit, like, an optimal level.
Sure,
that was me. That was actually just how much I naturally leveled without farming.
Yeah.
I didn't farm for levels in this
No,
game.
neither
And it's
have I.
crazy how high my levels got, regardless of that. But what I was going to say, too, is I was using the anchor for a really long time.
Yeah.
Anchor?
Yeah. It is exactly
That
what you
sounds
think
cool.
Oh,
it is.
it was beautiful. I put the cold effect on it, and it does like this big chunk of frost damage, and it also slows the enemies down, which is great because
that's an
that
underrated
helps
perk.
with your combat timing, and it works on bosses too.
I imagine it helped with like the
Wow.
ulcerated tree things or whatever.
So it's like a slow on
Yeah.
bosses too.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not a huge difference, but it's the kind of difference where there's a colossal sword that my friend Chris, he was using that.
the one that launches people on a heavy or
It does like the big gravity like trail attack thing.
that one, yeah.
It has S scaling with strength, which
That's
is better than the anchor,
Right.
for sure. And it does technically do more damage,
But it's not
but
an anchor.
it's like it's slightly slower in its attacks, and
honestly,
it
that's
doesn't
sometimes
have
just
cold on it.
Right.
So I did so much worse trying to use that
Is it
that I
naturally
just
cold
switched
or
back.
is it
Do what?
was it naturally cold or was it something you could
The
just
anchor,
buff? Yeah.
it was. I put
Like the
one of the
resonance.
ashes of war on it.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like a mist one that you can do,
Mhm.
which that was also pretty handy too, because it's just like a big charge, heavy attack that
Yeah.
then puts a mist cloud down, and
Something.
that would also stack the cold effect.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so that anchor was great, but there is this thing called the Executioner's Axe, I think. It does 11 more points of damage overall than the anchor does.
Yeah.
And I spent probably 40 minutes farming this single mob, like running up to it, killing it, running back to a bonfire, running back to it.
Yeah.
And I had to run back to the bonfire because the little silver chicken foot thing,
Mm-hmm.
that...
Chicken foot.
Yeah, it's
so
item
it increases your
discovery.
luck of item discovery,
Right.
but if you try and like teleport somewhere, that effect will go away. So you have to like kind of run back and forth if you want to use it for farming.
Right.
So I just farmed this one mob again and again until I got 2 of them. And it's a rare drop, but now power stancing executioner axes with cold and bleed. Like one has bleed, one has cold.
Right, yeah, that's the dream. Right?
It's monstrous.
I'm sure. No, I imagine it's like, here's the health bar, and for those who are non-audio or all audio, because this is always audio, it's like nah, oof, nah, oof. Like it's just always taking big leap. Well, the 2 big leaps and strides. Bleed, you probably. I don't know. You actually might get frost off more than bleed.
You do get frost off much quicker than bleed.
Right.
Yeah.
Bleed goes off quick this time, but like typically speaking, you'll get your 1 big bleed damage, but frost regens quicker enough for you to be able to trigger it another time.
So here's
At least
the
in my
weird here's the
experience.
weird trick with frost.
Mhm.
If the slowing effect is still on the enemy, you can't build another frost chunk.
Right. I
So
did know. I
you
knew
have
that
to
after
wait
it
long
triggers.
enough for that to dissipate
Right, you
if
see the
that's
effect,
what you
yeah.
want to do. And I never really needed to do that because I would just
Kill
stomp
them before
everything
that point.
down before that mattered.
Yeah. Well, when I have a toothpick sword, that was like, the frost and bleed stuff was like part of my build as well because it was like again the Moonveil katana because fucking why wouldn't I use it? It's perfect for that build. And then like I would cast just the fog of frost or whatever spell, which same ideas more or less.
Yeah.
I would just be like, all right, let's get the frost off, cool. Now that they're slow, let's get the bleed effect off, cool. Frost effect's gone, frost back on, and then like that's how I killed some of like the bigger chunkier bosses.
But yeah, I mean it's fun. I'm really looking forward to seeing some DLC for it.
Yes.
I hope that it's going to be like some big hefty content. I know typically with Dark Souls their DLC is not very big.
Yeah, the
Honestly,
scale isn't
like,
super
the-
big,
the-
but the
the
story and the
areas-
bosses are like way more.
Oh yeah,
fierce.
it's always like big meaningful things and stuff
Yeah.
like that, but it's never been huge areas, so I'm wondering how that's going to go with this game.
And this game feels so complete in its like area lore, so to speak. I'm not even sure where they would even toss
there's
you.
nothing that really sticks out as like needing some more
Right.
explanation.
I wonder if they're like. Okay, I don't even know where you would do like a painted world in this one, but painted worlds are so popular as a series.
I
this
was
one would be...
like the first time I saw a
the
painting, I was
painting.
like,
I know. I was
yes.
like, yeah, let's go.
And then no, it's you go find the artist and where
Mhm.
he was looking.
This is a game I could see them putting in like something like very out of character for From Software, like a boss rush or something like that. Like I could see them putting in something.
Well,
like
they
that.
did that in Sekiro, didn't they?
Yeah, they had it in Sekiro, so that's why I'm thinking it's like not out of the realm of possibility
Yeah.
for putting it into this. Like, I think that would be fun.
It's
like
something
having...
where like I'm hoping that we'll see some more development and
Right.
like kind of interesting stuff come out for it. But side note, another game that I've started
Yeah, we
playing.
can't
There
talk
we go.
only Elden Ring,
Please,
only.
something else.
Well, it's Dark Souls 2.
Yeah.
I decided after my Elden Ring time that I wanted a little bit more of that kind of stuff.
I need a break from
but-
this series. Let's go.
But I don't actually currently own the remake of Dark Souls 1, so I'm waiting for that to go on sale. And in the meantime, I was like,
It
well,
is
I've got
expensive.
Scholar of the First Sin.
Yeah.
I'll give it a shot. That game sucks. Like, and it's not just, it's not the adjustment from going from Elden Ring to Dark Souls 2. Like, I knew that there was going to be quality differences for sure. But man, it's like going from the best to the worst. And it's just so pathetically bad by comparison. There's so much bullshit in that game where the mob will, like, you'll cancel its animation by hitting it, but it still does damage to you anyway. It doesn't matter. It still does damage. Like, it didn't touch you, but
its attack is spiritually going through the void, right?
Yeah, and it's cheap stuff like that, but at the same time, the game, and this might just be because of having played, almost 100 hours of Elden Ring, so I'm like deep in playing some Dark Souls style content, but I also find the game to be incredibly easy this go around. I did hear that Scholar of the First Sin edition of Dark Souls 2 reworked where a lot of bosses, well, not bosses, like monsters and stuff were, and like the difficulty scale of the whole
I know
thing.
they moved them around and they buffed it a little
and
bit.
it certainly feels like it. Like I recall there being worse things in more difficult locations than what I have run into in that game so far. And like the bosses, I'm tearing them down like it's nothing. Like it's nothing about that game has been a true challenge yet, except for Ornstein, when you run into him again.
Oh yeah.
He did kind of mess with me a little bit until I started to kind of figure out his attack patterns, because he's just pretty sudden with his moves, which is a slight bit different from how Elden Ring feels.
Oh yeah, you missed the waiting game, right? Where it's just like,
Elden Ring
am I gonna
is like,
swing
the boss is gonna attack. Oh, he's winding up.
Oh, I rolled.
Here he comes.
Oh, I rolled too soon.
I rolled too soon. Now
Yeah. Yeah, it's like hilarious how much they've shifted on that. Like I feel like going backwards now would be like honestly a much easier challenge, knowing that the actions are often very predictable and straightforward.
Yeah, and that's also the kind of the conversation that was had around whenever Bloodborne came out. And it's like you play through Bloodborne and then you go back to the original Dark
trains you in
Souls
the
game
wrong
and
way.
it's just like, oh man, I am way better at this.
Yeah.
Because original Dark Souls, so many people took it as like sword and shield, be super defensive,
Block it, guard it,
trade attacks and stuff like that. And then Bloodborne was like, you don't get a shield.
Nope. Get in there and fuck him up or you die.
It's the get good.
Yeah.
And then you go back to the other ones and it's like, well, I'm good now.
Yeah.
Fuck this shield. Like, that's the thing, too, with Dark Souls 2. I have just been two-handing a longsword the whole time, and that's all I need. Like, I don't care about a shield. I won't even have it equipped, and it's totally fine.
So, Price, for you, I want to give you a quick little side note on Bloodborne.
I don't play any of these games.
I know.
I've
but,
been unengaged for 30 minutes.
That's fine. Well, get engaged and get good, casual. So, Bloodborne, for you, okay, in like regular Dark Souls, your health goes down as you get hit, traditional, like any game. And Bloodborne has this thing where it favors aggression, right? And it teaches you how to be a good attacker, because you'll get hit, but you're like, so there's like a temporary little like bar that goes down in your health, and you have this much wiggle room to be able to get it back. And you get that back by pounding on whatever pounded on you, or really anything nearby. But so you could potentially heal by like attacking the other things. So the game was constantly conditioning you to be like the aggressive player instead of like getting ripped apart. Because casual in Dark Souls, you have like a shield, you take like the hits, and then my turn. Probably is like kind of like an action. Like a Final Fantasy traditionally plays turn-based, but like it's making you do it with like at the constraints of a time clock on it.
Yeah, well, and Bloodborne does have a shield, but it's only there.
But
as
we
a
encourage
joke,
you never to use it.
Actually, is bad to use.
Yes.
Like it does just end up making you die constantly if you try and use the shield.
They're like,
it's only
maybe
a
you
joke.
don't understand. We gave you this, but it's a joke from us to sit here and make you feel as though you have sense of security. You don't kill it already, or you will die. It's wonderful, very Lovecraftian. I can't wait for anything else in that verse.
Yeah. I would just appreciate them releasing it on PC.
Honestly, yeah. I feel like we're waiting on it. I feel like we're against the clock on that.
It feels like surely it's got to come. I mean,
Sure.
everything else is.
Right.
I don't know if it's tied up in some kind of PlayStation exclusivity.
Yeah, I wonder if there's like a set time
situation.
where the deal has to pass by before then it can get on there. Yeah.
Maybe. I haven't looked into that in a while, but
Here's a fun thought for you really quick. So Elden Ring being the gigantic, expansive game that it is. All right, if you get to pick one, well, really it's between two. If you get to pick either Bloodborne or Sekiro to create like a spiritual sequel, but it's in the realm of that, right? So something more very traditional feudal Japanese influence, or Lovecraftian. And I feel like I know this answer already. But if you get that to spread the Elden Ring,
You do.
content.
well, there's another point going against you on this. I haven't played Sekiro because
Okay, so
it has
theoretical-
never dropped below $35.
well, because it's
sale.
delightful. Go buy it at full price.
You can
guys.
borrow mine if you want. I won't be playing it.
Well, I mean, I would play it on Steam.
Yeah,
is the
so
thing. And that's why
He
You
wants
have
to
a
own it.
PlayStation. It's right there.
Yes, but he wants to own it too, Price.
Oh, I forgot.
We've
who I'm
talked about
talking
yeah.
to.
This is Nathan. He's
Yeah, exactly.
it has to be mine,
I
or
gotta
I'm not
get them
really.
achievements on Steam.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
you
did I even
Otherwise-
play the game?
Otherwise, it's
True.
It's meaningless, just like Steam achievements. So.
But yeah, I mean, as it stands, definitely Bloodborne. Although I don't know, what does an open world Bloodborne look like?
A lot of ugly London. I don't know. Like
I mean,
I feel like what we got
an
was already
endless-
expansive enough,
Yeah,
right?
I mean, it was
But
a very big world.
it was a huge world.
And it was well laid out. I don't know. I feel like if you tried to turn that into an open world,
It
I don't
maybe
know if
gets
it would
worse for it a
really.
little bit,
It gets weird.
Yeah.
Like I don't think you really build a whole world out of that feel right.
Right, which is why I feel like Sekiro kind of translates a little better because it's just going to be like, let's just do Ghost of Tsushima, but with Dark Souls like engine build, and I'm like, okay. They're like, it's not as pretty though. It's just gothic horror and nightmares, and you're like, oh, okay. I don't know, or they just do a world where it feels like it's a little flavor of everything, right? You get like a Bloodborne like kingdom, where it's just
Well,
like
and they
like that.
do reference in
Right,
Elden
there's
Ring
plenty.
that there is like an Eastern Kingdom kind of thing because that's where the samurai comes as
Right.
the starting class. Yeah, we just gotta wait till Vati starts making his
Yeah, it makes all the
videos
lore to make
telling
it make
you
sense. Yeah.
everything that.
So here's the
was
story
actually
you don't
going on.
understand. I'm like, I'm glad you do that because I have the
although-
generalist idea ever. anytime
Well,
I play it.
in this one, I feel like you did get
This
the
one gave it to you
most
much more.
explanation.
Mhm.
Like it actually kind of laid things out decently.
Yeah, they were like, here's the rough
Like
idea.
I
for
feel like I
the-
kind of understand, but I also know that there is a great deal more that I don't.
Yeah.
The three fingers thing. Did you go? Have you been to where you get the frenzy flame?
No, not yet. But I do know that the merchants are in on the game. Yeah. Which,
That's the thing that
Yeah.
is got big question marks for me.
Yeah.
And I've not killed a merchant, but I saw a video of somebody
it
like
feels
going around
tragic. It
killing
feels like
them.
it broke my heart. Like,
Yeah,
but
well,
I'm gonna kill
They
them.
do the frenzy flame attack.
Yeah.
Which is just like, what the hell does that mean?
It makes it feel like they summon the three fingers, and it's like a weird
Like
merchant
it
cult.
definitely seems like there's something weird going on there.
Yeah. Anyway, Price wants to talk about something that's not Elden Ring, so
Or anything from software. I would love to not be talking about that.
well, you should start playing some of
For
the best
longer.
games of our generation. Then I don't know. What to tell you,
No, I
Price.
don't want to.
Well,
good.
I mean that's this is probably about it for a while until some.
God,
DLC
I hope
comes out.
so.
No,
God, I'm
that's
so
not-
sick
if,
of every
if we do this next week, it's more Elden Ring.
It's whatever. Y'all do whatever.
Yeah.
But the complete opposite of that, you're talking about the story front, having to watch like videos to find story. I am playing a game that is the complete opposite of that right now. It's I don't know if y'all have even heard of it. You may have a triangle strategy.
Yeah,
Oh, you've heard of it?
yeah, I've heard of it.
Oh, okay.
I know the name, but I'm not pulling the like.
It's
game
just a
in my head.
play on like the Fire Emblem.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I thought it was.
Situation, isn't it?
I remember
More
the-
of tactics, Final Fantasy Tactics.
Okay.
I would compare it to that more than anything. It's made by Square. It's made in the same style as Octopath Traveler. If either of y'all played
Yeah.
that. It's in the same style, but very, very different. I was kind of hoping for more Octopath Traveler because I love that game.
I remember the trailer in my head now. Okay, yeah, I remember thinking like, oh, it's Octopath sequel, and they're like, nope, it's Triangle, and
It's,
I'm like,
it's the same team.
yeah.
Worst name for a video game I think I may have ever heard. Besides Kingdom
It's-
Hearts titles, I think
Yeah.
It's
up
it's
there.
a very like tongue-in-cheek name for
I-
sure.
I guess
like
so.
it
I
is
think
just
it's awful.
openly saying like it's this genre of tactics game.
Yeah.
Like it.
So
I don't know.
silly.
To me, it reminds me of like Bravely Default or something.
Yeah, something that it was just like they were trying to be funny about it. And we're like, yeah, but this doesn't appeal to anybody else. Fuck you guys. Like we don't find it funny casual audience.
It's like it's an in joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not a lot of people play that kind of game.
Yeah.
So
And then the people who do
enjoy
find
your
it-
in joke that most of the world won't.
the people who do
understand.
find it like understand it don't really find it that funny either. So
Yeah.
it's like
Well, anyway, the game's
Yeah.
basically, it's really similar to Final Fantasy Tactics. That's what everybody was kind of hoping that it would be instead.
Yeah.
The gameplay itself is, it's grid-based, and it's basically like you take, like, depending on your character's speed determines the turn order, and it's like 1 to, like, however many. So if there's 20 units in combat, it's 1 to 20. So it could be, like, your turn, 3 turns of 3 enemies, 2 turns of yours. So it's not like your turn, my turn, like Fire Emblem.
Yeah, but
which
it's-
was a
So,
lot of
so
getting
it's like
used
the new
to.
Pokemon.
yeah. Like how they have like the in Arceus, you know how they have like the speed
You
stat,
can like
right?
Oh,
attack
yeah.
Twice in
and
a turn,
potentially
you
get
can
to go
Yeah,
twice.
yeah, that's
sort of
or
thing.
yeah.
infinitely if you really wanted to, depending.
Yeah,
on
it's really similar to that,
Yeah.
but which took a lot of time for me to get used to because I like it was set up like Fire Emblem, so I'm like, oh, like
Yeah.
so it's my turn, all of my people go, but no, it's very different where like my thief character goes first, but
Oh, it's
my
character based rather than your your
it's my big
Yeah,
my big
so
yeah,
more
beefy
D&D
guy.
style.
right more.
Yeah, very much D&D
Yeah.
style.
But is it cripplingly hard?
No, it's I think it's fair. I've very much
I don't want to play it.
I've very much been enjoying the
Your
gameplay.
characters have permadeath.
Yeah.
No, which that took a lot of getting used to. Like, one of my characters died, and I looked it up, and I was like, "Is it permadeath?" Like when my characters come back, oh, they're like, "Yeah, you can throw them out." Like,
Oh yeah, these are little flesh
as,
pigeons,
as,
right?
as long as one character lives, you're good.
Boy.
Like, all right,
You
well,
want to hear my Fire Emblem strategies of some of those things?
but
where
it's
I'm like, get 'em,
really
boys.
it's really neat how it's balanced though, because I don't feel much more powerful than the enemy. So like it feels like the enemies hit as hard as I do, which
Yeah.
is very different, and I like that. So
I feel like that's
it
traditional
focuses
tactics.
more on strategy of like how you place your people and how you use them,
It's
which
more like a chess game.
yeah,
Yeah.
which I really like. But the thing that I will knock against this game, though, is that it feels like the gameplay is a third of the experience, and the story is 2/3.
Oh.
It's really that much. It's very Game of Thrones. I compare it a lot to Game of Thrones in that it's very political based, and you are pretty much the Starks. It feels exactly
are
like that.
So is this like voice acted or?
Yes, it's completely voice acted, which
Okay,
helps
that's
a lot.
good because
that's
I was gonna
surprising,
say
actually.
that much.
If it was
like,
just text-based-
story, and if it was political,
Read,
and
read,
you had
read,
to
read,
read,
read.
it,
Oh.
that is a quick skip for me.
Yeah.
And if I'm skipping 2/3 of the game, I'm probably not
Yeah.
gonna play it.
Yeah.
It's not one I'd really recommend right now. I'm like probably 2/3 through the game, something like that. I would give it like a 6 or something. Like it's fun, but it's not one I'd recommend. I just really was hoping for another Octopath Traveler. It's not what I got. But it's still fun. I enjoy the combat when I actually get to do it. Like I wish it was half and half, but it's very story based. Like Kelly's like been in the background just like reading or something while I'm playing on the TV, and she's like, "Are you ever playing?" Like it just seems like
You're
it's
just reading and
I'm
watching.
just
the whole
reading
time.
and pressing A, which is pretty much the majority of it. Which is
You want to talk about Square Enix's
Annoying.
biggest problems in a nutshell? Boom.
good
Right
grief.
there.
They have made a lot of misses lately. Is all I can say.
Remake was
Yeah.
fantastic, though. That being said, But
No, I think that's
7.
that's
yeah.
been the last like, and then right back into the well. But to be fair, that game is a published Square Enix game, which means that it's a fucking dumpster fire, and you never play it. Like it can only be specifically made by, developed by, and then published by.
All right. What about Kingdom Hearts 3 then?
We all know damn well how that game went. I'm not saying that every game they develop is great, but
yeah, exactly. That's
but
all
I'm saying that you have a much higher chance of that game being at least
yeah.
good.
Well, I mean,
Like-
Nier is like I think the most recent thing they
Yeah, Nier Replicant.
developed.
Which
Yeah,
was,
and
I mean, just like the remake of the original one, but that was still good. And
Yeah.
the Nier Automata was fantastic.
That's Triangle Strategy's pretty much been the only thing I've been playing. Other thing that I just picked up is Monster Hunter Rise went on sale for PC, so I've been replaying that, and I'm playing with 2 other people, which I've only played with 1 other person before, so 3 people I think will be fun. And I'm starting a new weapon, which I guess this is similar to your Dark Souls
It's a
talk
new
and
build
stuff like
no,
that.
yeah, I got you.
But I'm starting a new weapon. I did the longsword before, which I always played with in World and Rise, and now I'm starting to play through. I'm gonna do the hammer.
Longsword was the katana one, right? With the heat gauge on it, or
It's kind of a heat gauge.
yeah, okay, yeah.
But there
that was
is
the
an
one that I was
actual
using by
katana.
Right, yeah, I know there's like the actual looking one, but
Longsword is like apparently the most noob friendly like weapon, so that was fine for me, and I enjoyed it. And it was
I was a big
fine.
fan of the flute. I won't lie. Just going doot doot.
The hunting horn.
Yeah.
You like the hunting horn? It's
love the
really
hunting horn.
good.
No,
Like, the buffs
I
it
haven't
gives you.
played it on Rise, but in Monster Hunter World, it was painful and solo content at times.
Did you play Rise?
No, I didn't play Rise.
Oh, at all?
No, I wanted to, but then it was on Switch, and something about Switch in that kind of game, I don't want to.
It ran well. Not near
Even
as
if it
good as
d-
it does on PC.
I do hear that
but
it runs
well.
well, but something about like a Switch and like a game that's like interactive and fast paced. I don't know. I just don't want to do it on Switch. Like there's Nintendo bias.
It worked well.
But
if
yeah,
you want to borrow
knowing-
it, you're welcome to.
Knowing
I
that it's
really liked it.
on PC, I would just eventually come.
It's
back
on
to
sale
it.
right now for $40, so it's not too bad.
Wait until Sunbreak comes out and it drops to like $10 for base game, and then like
I doubt it will. It's super popular. I'd be surprised if it went that.
No, nobody's
that
playing
low.
these Monster Hunter games price. Okay.
Well, me and two other friends and myself are, and
so 3 people.
I
Good
really
job,
like it. I
sir.
really wish I would have thought last year and remembered that Rise came out, so I would have put that on my top 5.
Yeah.
Because I played it a shit ton and loved it, but I just forgot about it because it came out in like February. So been replaying that, having a great time. It looks so much better on PC. Plays a lot better. I mean, it was on a Switch, so
Yeah.
it looks a lot better, plays a lot better. But I still think I prefer World over Rise because I like the environments of World so much better. Did you ever play them?
I messed with one that was on the 3DS a little bit.
Oh, those
Oh,
are
so that was
too.
before-
So
oh,
World is
yeah.
like the breakthrough, I think, where it's like
Yeah, that's the one that.
Well,
It's
yeah,
actually
that
fun.
was my brief experience with Monster Hunter was this is too grindy and unclear of a game.
it's so
Yeah.
obtuse.
into.
Yeah.
That's the word I would definitely put for Monster Hunter until World. Like it's just the UI is terrible. You don't know what to do. I hated it until that point.
It is not very intuitive. Everything before then was like, I remember I tried to get a Monster Hunter series.
I did
'cause
too.
The concept was great, but the execution just felt awful. But World streamlined enough for me to finally be able to get on board with it, but there's still plenty of problems that like I could point out to say like, this isn't, again, nothing's perfect. But, being able to say like, okay, so do I upgrade this? Do I do this? Why am I keep getting killed? Oh, I need to, it doesn't matter as long as my upgraded armor is upgraded, like, ugh. Or the weapon is upgraded in certain
I don't know.
ways. Also, Insect Glaive, they're like, I don't know.
World
keep
is
sending it out.
like in my top 20 games probably.
I really
can't say
enjoy
how much
World.
I loved it. I loved it.
But when you start with an Insect Glaive, and that thing's like...
Why did you start with like one of the hardest weapons?
First of all, I don't know it's the hardest weapon. I just played whatever it was like. I'm going to play whatever
I
looks
would
fun.
fly through the air like a
Yeah,
bird.
this thing was a fucking double staff jumping around it was like, it's like the equivalent of like a dragoon almost, right?
Yeah,
In that
it's
regard.
really similar.
But you have like this bug thing, so to get into your like super dragoon form, you have a little bug that you send out to go like take a little nibble, and it gives you a little bit of nectar, but it's a different color depending on which body part you send it to. Now, they don't tell you that, and they don't tell you what body part's with it, and you just kind of roughly assume that the head gives you a different color than like the body, and hopefully the tail gives you a different color, but then sometimes that's not the case at all, and you just keep getting 2 colors. You never get to go to your 3-color god form, and then when you're in the air, you're not in invulnerable frames. You just get swatted out from the air because they hate you. And so that was really, really frustrating, and then that's when I went to Doot Big Ol' Hunter Horn, and I played them a song and hit him in the head and the noggin, and then they took a nap.
Boy, do I not understand.
Yeah.
what you're talking
Now you know
about.
how
Yeah.
it feels for the last 30 minutes. that
Right.
You are
So
talking
that's exactly about as much as I understood as playing the game.
Mhm.
So that was not.
You
a sign of
should. If,
confidence.
I mean, you're not going to, but if you're gonna play like a more friendly weapon, like the longsword or the hammer, or something like
play
that.
what looks cool and what you like. That is always the game. It is all style Souls, even when it's not in the Souls game.
Like they go all the way from having them like the big chunky two-handed greatsword, where if you get 2 hits in one combo, like you're doing great, to like little ninja. Like I forgot what it's
the
called,
twin
like
blades,
twin
yeah.
blades, yeah, like dual blades, and you
Those
just
ones
like
feel fun.
you just continuously like scratch them, like death by 1,000 cuts is exactly how that feels.
I'm always much more of the
Yeah,
chunky attacker.
He would rather be a thick boy. I don't know if you've
Which
heard
you
our
can do
our
that.
Elden Rings build, but he wants big weapon, 2 hits, done.
But that's me. That's all I've been playing, and of course League on the side as always. We'll say that.
Anything? Nothing's different about League. It's been the same game for 12 years. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
So you haven't played that Core Keeper game yet?
No, I've been waiting for a friend of mine. He told me to buy the game, and our schedules haven't lined up yet.
So I will plug a game that we've talked about here before that we've all 3 actually played, and that was Inscription. Actually got a recent
Yeah,
update.
Oh,
I
it
saw
did?
that today. I'm
Yeah.
planning on playing that.
Yeah, so
What
they
is it?
they dropped the developers dropped a Casey's mod, which turns it into like just an unending.
It turns the first situation into an endless roguelike.
Right.
Oh.
Which is something that I think everybody would be very happy
Yeah,
with.
That's
I
the
was
biggest
very
complaint
excited
that you
for
all
that.
had.
Right.
Yeah, because the rest of the story stuff is like, it's
Cool,
cool.
and a
Like, it's
different
really
style and
cool,
decks is
but
fun.
I found the most gameplay enjoyment
In
in
the
that first scenario.
Right.
So I'm definitely going to be checking that out.
Yeah, no, I was excited to see that because that's exactly what I wanted out of that game. I wanted
Yeah.
that to be fleshed
That was
out.
an indie developer, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
I figured.
Mm-hmm.
It looked great.
Oh yeah.
And
I
I'm sure
enjoyed it.
I'm sure we'll get like the equivalent for like the second like part like for the.
Oh, I don't know
8-bit.
about that. Like, surely they
I mean, listen,
understand
the
that most people don't like the way
no.
that plays.
Right. Like, but honestly, it's more graphical than anything. If those cards translated into the original style that is in the
I
first
got you.
area,
Well, maybe
I would have more
maybe I
fun with
wouldn't
that.
have as bad of an opinion of it
Right.
if I didn't pick the mage.
Yeah, that's
Whenever
fair.
you picked the first deck.
No,
'cause
yeah,
boy,
that
was
was dumb.
the worst one.
You've played enough card games to know better, Nathan. I saw that and I said that looks way worse and way bad, and the bone one just wins. And then I boned
did they
everybody.
actually tell you anything about it before you picked?
No.
I don't feel like they did.
No, you just had to pick, but
Yeah, so I just picked, and I got the worst one.
well, pick better.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, get good.
Next
Get good
time-
with deck building.
Next time I'll pick
To be fair,
the right word.
to be fair, you could just snag all the other cards from the other decks and
I
then
mean,
start to
yeah,
bleed them
and
out,
eventually
right?
I did, and completely changed to a different deck.
Exactly, yeah. So it wasn't like you
But
had
I
to be
had to
miserable.
slowly grind my way into getting to play a different
Which would have
deck.
been miserable because that
Yeah.
that deck is awful. That's actually bad deck building. But anyway, I think that's our show, right, guys?
That is Dylan.
Okay, so I guess we'll go ahead and wind down. We'll do some plugs. You can catch Nathan fucking nowhere because he's not anywhere. You can catch him on Signal if he allows it. I still don't even have his phone number. That is how deeply rooted off the grid Nathan.
He does
is.
not answer group text.
He does not answer group text. He does not check it out.
I said something in the group chat.
You did not.
I absolutely did.
I don't believe you at all.
you can-
Yeah, I
can-
offered my place for Twilight Imperium.
So you can.
Oh, he did. He did.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I'm there.
I stand
Wait,
corrected.
was that for what is that?
The birthday board
Your
game.
birthday, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. God, it's almost Press's birthday again. Make sure to tune in next. Make sure to tune in next week for maybe Press's birthday or whenever this episode comes out or whatever we decide to do it. I don't know. It's gonna be Elden Ring again if we do it too soon. So I'd wait. But yeah, I don't know. I'll talk about Street Fighter's definitive update here in a couple weeks if we wait that point, and then I'll get into Horizon because I got to start playing that game eventually. But there's
Maybe
only
some Core Keeper, definitely some Inscription.
Yeah, a little bit of Inscription. I'm going to go back and play that. So, all the games that you love hearing us already talk about, we'll go back to those because we know you like that. Anyway, guys, that's our show. Make sure to like, subscribe, thumbs up, do all that jazz if you enjoyed our smooth, sultry content and 30 minutes of Dark Souls with 15 minutes of Price saying, I still play League, but also sometimes I play other games.
Yep.
That's our show. Make sure if you want to see what our thoughts are on movies. For some reason, if you found our video game content and you didn't find our movie content, go tune in over on our movie review stuff. I think we do a lot of interesting movies. We're going to be talking about Kingdom of Heaven this week. Bye, guys. We'll see you then.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
We're waving, but you can't see it.